Hello everyone, um, and welcome to the webinar. I see that we already have 6 people joining us today. So if you are in here, please say hello in the chat. You can say kind of your name and where you're connecting from. We just want to know so that we know who's watching. If you're new to Zoom, there is a chat button at the very bottom of Zoom. So like Ellie has said in here, hello, just make sure to send that so we can see where you're from. Hello, Uma. Hi, Nitya. Hello. Yeah, let us know where you're connecting from today, and we'll be starting in literally just a minute. Brilliant. So I am here. Hello, my name is Mili, and I'll be leading this webinar. I'm part of the Tech Returners team, and together with me, I have Ellie, Leslie, and Georgia from our team. We are also joined by our wonderful hiring partners. This is Emily, Jessica, and Richard from ThoughtWorks and GDS. You'll be hearing a little bit more from them, and they'll be answering probably some of the questions you're wondering about towards the second part of the webinar. And we also have the wonderful Huma, who is part of a previous cohort of Tech Returners, who will also be sharing a little bit more about her experience on the program and any advice that she may have for you. So without further ado, I think we're gonna get started. There is 14 of you in here that I can see, so that is brilliant. All right, so there we go. Yeah, if I can ask everyone to turn their cameras and microphones off, that would be perfect. All right, hello. So as I said, welcome to our webinar. It should be about an hour today. And just so you know kind of what we're going to cover, we're going to be giving you a very, very brief overview of Tech Returners, who we are. And then we're going to dive straight into the things that you're probably very interested in, and that is understanding a bit more about the program, how it is run, the technical content, and we're also going to cover things like the career and mindset coaching that we offer on the program. Afterwards, Leslie will cover how to apply, any criteria that you may need to meet, and how to submit your applications. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to hear from our hiring partners and from Huma, one of our past returners. Please do drop any questions that you may have while you're listening. Drop them in the chat. That is perfectly fine. There is also a Q&A button, so if you want to submit them more anonymously, you can also use that. Either of those ways is fine, and we'll cover all the questions that you have at the end. So, brilliant to see so many of you here today. So, Tech Returners, who are we? Tech Returners was set up in 2017 by those two wonderful people you can see on screen, Becky Taylor and James Heggs. And their mission really was to remove the barriers that people would face when they decided to either enter the tech industry or return to the tech industry after a career break. And since then, we have been providing a variety of different programs, mostly the Your Return to Tech Returners program, to help a lot of people re-enter the industry after a break. So to give you just a very quick timeline, as I said, in 2017, the company was founded, and there were a couple of cohorts to help validate the idea. We work with hiring partners such as AO, AutoTrader, and Think Money. Since then, in 2018 and 2019, we ran a lot of programs with hiring partners such as Infinity Works, the BBC, Lloyds Bank, to help people enter the tech industry and actually increase the diversity in those companies and their technical teams. In 2020, we launched our signature program, Your Return to Tech, and we work with hiring partners such as AO, BA Systems, The Telegraph, The Guardian, Booking.com, which Huma was actually part of, so you'll hear a bit more from her as well. And Earlier this year, in 2023, we actually became part of the larger Nerve Coders group. Some of you may have heard of Nerve Coders. And so we continue to run our Tech Returners program and work with fantastic hiring partners such as Hastings Direct, BE Systems, and now we're partnering with ThoughtWorks and GDS for that program. So in terms of our team, this is not everyone, but these are probably some of the people you're going to meet throughout your application process. So there is Elenia and Leslie, who are our talent acquisition specialists and part of the onboarding team. And you're going to for sure meet us as the coaches. So there is myself and Georgia, part of the career and mindset team. And here we have our wonderful tech coaches, Neil, Ellie, Simon, Chris, Alex, and Hannah, who will be delivering parts of the program. Now, none of this would actually be possible without our fantastic marketing team. They are the reason that you're all here with us today. And we also have our well-being and pastoral officer, Dani, who provides a lot of that well-being support for people on the program. And we also have a placements team as well that supports people that may not necessarily be successful with interviews at first stage, and we support them with progressing in their career further. So, what is the Tech Returners program and what can you expect? It is a 9-week program, and this program is free, and that is because it is in partnership with ThoughtWorks and GDS. So this is something that we're incredibly grateful to be partnering with them with, and for you, if you get a place on the program, it is something that is an incredible opportunity. The program itself is focused on JavaScript and TypeScript, and you're going to be having a combination of technical coaching and career and mindset coaching, who run in parallel to develop you in both of those ways. In terms of some statistics, I think that those numbers probably a little bit higher right now, but we have successfully helped over 145 people to complete the program, and most of them to come back to their career and be employed. And in terms of kind of the practical impact, and something that I think our entire team is incredibly proud of, is number one, helping people to come back to the industry and actually increase their starting salary from where they were previously in their career because of the value that their skills now have. Just last year, we added like 2.5 million to the economy in terms of the salaries that people combined get. And something that personally, like I think myself and George are very proud of, because we coach on that confidence and mindset side. Pretty much everyone left the program feeling a lot more confident in their skills and in themselves after going through it. And so in terms of our commitment, what we promise to you is that we want to provide you, and we're going to provide a free program that is going to upskill you and going to develop you as a person as well. And we're going to provide you with support with preparing for interviews. In terms of what we ask from your side is to actually complete the full program. As I said, getting a place is an incredible opportunity. Not many people get that opportunity, and so we really want your commitment, and that means it's pretty much a full-time commitment. You hear a little bit more about how the sessions are run, and you're not in a classroom for 8-9 hours a day. That's not how it works. However, it does require quite a time commitment for a short period of time if you're serious about transitioning back to your career in technology. So now I will pass on to Ellie, who's going to teach you a little bit more about the program and kind of how we work, how we teach, and anything specific around the content. So Ellie, I'll pass over to you.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Mili. Hi, everyone. Love seeing all the messages coming in the chat, so keep them coming. Really excited to hopefully meet some of you. And yeah, I hope you find this sort of session informative and kind of answer some of the questions that you have. So my name's Ellie. I'm one of the tech coaches at Tech Returners. Predominantly, I work on the front end, but have been known to dabble in other areas. So yeah, I'm just going to talk through some of the program details that we've got, that are sort of part of the Tech Returners program. So throughout the program, we deliver our program remotely, which means that it's quite nice and accessible to everyone. So we deliver sessions through Zoom, and we also use Google Classroom to post things like session materials, slides, Zoom recordings. If you ever want to re-watch something and sort of revise certain topics, we utilize Google Classroom for that. The program uses sort of a mixture of individual, group, and paired work. So you'll get to work on lots of different sort of topics and sort of lots of different assignments. And because of the nature of software development, is sort of, long gone are the days where we kind of sort of had in our heads that software developers sat in a basement somewhere with the hood up, not talking to anyone. Software development is really, really important to be able to communicate and sort of talk to other people and work in a group. So throughout the program, you'll have an opportunity to sort of work with other people on projects and sort of get to know each other a little bit better. There'll be a dedicated Slack channel where you can sort of share ideas and sort of communicate with us, your tech coaches, and other people on your cohort. You'll get support from the tech coaches via both Slack and Zoom calls. And the way it runs is we'll have sort of sessions in the morning that will be on Zoom. You'll attend those. Sometimes there are sessions in the afternoon as well. You'll join those Zoom calls, and then we'll usually set assignments for you to work on either by yourself or with other people sort of for the rest of the day. One thing that we sort of really pride ourselves on, and something that I personally think is really, really important, and we all think is really important for your development, is clear and actionable feedback. So not only do we sort of create assignments for you to work through to really solidify the things that you learned in those sessions in the mornings and the afternoons, we will review the code that you write and the assignments that you submit and sort of give you quite detailed feedback on things that you've done well and things that you can improve on. And you can even sort of resubmit things as well, and we'll check whether you've sort of improved and actioned that feedback well as well. So that's kind of how we teach and kind of how we go about teaching. And if you wouldn't mind the next slide. Thanks, Mili. So important note, some things are subject to change, but generally speaking, this is kind of how we try and teach the program. So sessions are generally between the hours of 10 and 5. And there's sort of a reason for that, really. The reason we sort of do remote delivery and the reason we try and keep our sessions between those times is for accessibility. A lot of our returners, people like yourselves on this call, have caring responsibilities. Sometimes people have work that they need to do outside of the program as well. So we try and keep the hours that we sort of teach our sessions at a time that kind of suits as many people as possible. And obviously it's not always possible to, create something that suits everyone. But what we found is that by keeping sessions between 10 and 5, it allows people with kids to sort of go and pick their kids up from school post 3 o'clock and drop off before 10. So that's kind of the reason for those timings as well. And also because some of our tech coaches quite like a lion, guilty as charged. So 10 till 5 is the sort of our core sessions, really. We have a combination of tech sessions and career and mindset sessions, and Mili's going to talk to you more about career and mindset, but not to sort of spoil it too much because Mili will go into that. But part of what I love about our course is that we treat career and mindset it's almost as important as the technical side of things, because really to succeed at a career in tech, there are certain elements of your mindset that are really, really important. So having a growth mindset, being okay with getting things wrong sometimes, being able to sell yourself, describe the things and recognize the things that you're good and capable at. Those are all extremely important, especially if you've had a career break and maybe your confidence, maybe you're not feeling that confident. So we do have a combination of both technical and career and mindset sessions. Those sessions are between 3-4 days a week, with an optional 5th day where you can join us for a co-coding session where you work on the assignments that we've set. So you've got that flexibility essentially of times, but you will be really busy. So we would recommend in your head putting aside around 30 to 35 hours total time per week to really get the most out of the program. And those 30 to 35 hours will be, some of those hours will be on session delivery. So you'll be sitting in on sessions and listening to the tech coaches go through things and explain things. But the rest of those hours will be time spent on working on assignments that we've set you and group projects and things like that. So although you won't have 30 to 35 hours of contact time, you will be expected to sort of put in those hours on sort of completing those assignments that we set you essentially. So they're the core hours between sort of 10 and 3. And then what days you sort of spend on those assignments are up to you. And you've kind of got that flexibility of completing those at sort of times that suit you really. Whether you work better in the evenings or early in the morning, or you want to do your work at the weekend, that's up to you. Cool, so that's projected session timings. Next slide, please, Millie. So yeah, the program start date will be Monday, the 22nd of January. So gosh, we're in December now, so that's coming around really, really quickly, but that's when the program will start. So our tech coaches, so I'm one of the tech coaches. I tend to sort of deliver more of the front end sessions, but there's quite a few of us tech coaches now. And we've got Alex, Hannah, Simon, Neil, and Chris, who are all absolutely lovely. I have to say that because they might watch this recording. No, they are lovely. And they're all sort of experts in their own field, and they'll be sort of delivering some of those technical sessions for you. And then if we move on to the curriculum. Okay. So the way that the program runs is we've kind of broken the program up into different sections. And this doesn't really matter too much to you as sort of learners on the program, although some people kind of like having those distinctions in their mind. But the start of the program is something that we call pre-journey. And this is sort of developed over time, and sort of we're always working and improving the curriculum and trying to make it as good as we can and as enjoyable as we can. But the pre-journey really is sort of a week-long, 2-week-long period where the idea is to sort of just ease you into the program and ease you back into coding every day, sort of interacting with other people. We know that a lot of our returners have had quite long career breaks sometimes, and this sort of pre-journey part of the course is really just to sort of bring you comfortably back to sort of developing and coding every day. So for the pre-journey aspect, there'll be like light technical warm-ups. You'll have, for example, katas and assignments that you do that will sort of just gently get you back into problem solving. We'll have a session on Git version control. So if it's been a while since you've used Git, or maybe if you've not used Git before, we'll sort of upskill you in that. We'll look at things like writing a little bit of HTML, looking at code quality. So like we'll get you sort of back into problem solving, but also give you feedback on the stuff that the work that you submit, and sort of look at how we can sort of refactor that code and make it even better. And most importantly, pre-journey is about getting to know us, the tech coaches, and getting to know other people on your cohort. So that's the pre-journey part of the course. We then go into software fundamentals. And software fundamentals is really about the kind of key practices and principles that you need to have nailed down as a software engineer. And these are sort of things that once you've nailed these, the next part of the program will be a lot easier. And also they're sort of topics or modules really that you kind of are really important to sort of kind of understand and have a good grounding in to sort of be a good software engineer. So we'll be covering all sorts of things there. For example, and just, you know, these slides don't cover everything, but this is kind of just a taster of some of the sort of main concepts that we'll cover. There are more sessions in there than this, but we'll be looking at all sorts of things in software fundamentals, things like testing our code, so test-driven development, software testing practices and principles, making sure that the code that you do write is well tested and isn't going to break and sort of cause all sorts of disasters. We've also introduced TypeScript to our program, which is kind of another layer, if you like, of sort of safety, really. So we found that, well, we've not found it is just something that's sort of developed within the industry. TypeScript now has gained massive popularity, and many businesses will use TypeScript. So we'll look at TypeScript and sort of dive a little bit into that and give you the opportunity to kind of practice and write some TypeScript. And we'll look at all sorts of other things like asynchronous code, algorithms debugging, JavaScript, of course, bread and butter. And then a couple of other things that I kind of just want to mention that we've kind of changed slightly and added to software fundamentals. And some things that as a front-end developer I really love and care about, CSS key concepts, and also semantic HTML and accessibility. And the reason we've added that is just because I think at Tech Returner is a big part of what we believe in as an organization and as a group of people is accessibility. And that can mean many different things to many different people. But we used to have semantic HTML and accessibility in the front end part of the program. But on reflection, we realized that really we kind of want to live in a world and sort of strive to create a world where accessibility is at the forefront of everyone's minds. And even if you're maybe just becoming a back-end developer and you never sort of touch the front end of a website, it's still kind of important to have that awareness so you can kind of speak up for accessibility whenever you see an opportunity for it and kind of just have that an awareness of it. So in that session, we'll look at writing some semantic HTML and also looking at sort of AAA, different levels of accessibility conformance, different impairments a user might have, and all sorts of exciting stuff like that. So those are software fundamentals. And after that, we move into backend. So no sort of backend part of a program, you couldn't call it a backend if you didn't look at things like databases. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Like I said, this doesn't cover everything, but HTTP, request response cycles, RESTful APIs. You'll get to build an API and sort of test that. We'll look at MVC and how to structure backend applications in ways that are scalable. And we've also thrown in a little bit of DevOps in there. So you'll also get the opportunity to look at the cloud. You'll sort of dive a little bit into sort of different cloud providers and the plethora of different sort of technologies that they offer. You'll look at Docker and containerization, design patterns, microservices and systems, architecture, and much, much more. So that's kind of the back end part of the program. And then finally, all of this stuff that you'll have been working very, very hard on will culminate in a group project. And I think this is like, in some ways, the most exciting part of the program, or the part that I personally really enjoy and love seeing. And that's when we kind of take the stabilizers off a little bit. And throughout the program, you'll have been sort of coming along to these sessions, you'll be sort of learning about all these fantastic concepts or like refreshing yourself in them. Because I'm sure a lot of this stuff you'll already know with hopefully some extra bits added in as well. But this is a part where we sort of set you an assignment and you go away within a group and you will work with other people in the program to develop an entire backend application. And this is really like an opportunity for you to take ownership of something and get creative with it. And most importantly, just have a little bit of fun. So you'll be working with people in the program who by that point you'll have sort of built up sort of a strong relationship with. You'll be sort of making decisions about how you want to work, whether you want to sort of work agile, whether you want to have stand-ups every day or not. You get to make those decisions. And then at the end, there's sort of a session that I really love, which is a presentation where you get to sort of present back what you created with your team. And what we find is that often with a lot of our returners, this back-end sort of group project kind of not only gives them an opportunity to sort of build their confidence and practice the things that we covered on the program, but it really, really forms really lovely bonds between people. And what we find is that a lot of our returners, when we sort of touch base with them months after the program, even sometimes years after the program, they'll still be in contact with people that they've met on the Tech Returners program. And I hope that like when you come out of this program, it's not only the technical skills that you'll have developed, it's not only career and mindset skills that you'll have developed, but often we find that people come out with really strong friendships as well. And that's kind of why I love the group project. And then finally, as I've kind of mentioned already, there are assignments throughout the program that you'll be expected to complete. We try and keep them fun. I think they're fun anyway, but maybe that's just me. And those are a variety of different assignments. So there'll be coding katas where you really get stuck into the coding. For things that are some of the other assignments are sort of guided labs. So for example, if you were, I don't know, creating an RDS instance in AWS, it would maybe be a guided lab where we sort of talk you through what you need to do to get set up. There'll be research-based questions, you'll be pairing and working in small groups. And with all these assignments, we make sure that there's an extension exercise as well, so you can really push yourself and check that you have understood things correctly. And like I said, we'll give you feedback on all of that as well. And there are 3 or 4 milestone assignments as well, where they're sort of meatier assignments throughout the program that are kind of slightly bigger. And that's sort of just where we check kind of where you're up to and that you've kind of understanding things, and we can sort of dip in with those if needed. And of course, it's not just the technical coaching. I'm going to pass back to Mili now. You've heard enough from me, but what really makes our program a little bit different from other programs is sort of what Mili's going to go through you now, which is career and mindset. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Ellie, for this very comprehensive overview of the program and the technical side of it. I hope that it's been really helpful. And again, if you have any questions, please do drop them in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we'll be able to answer those at the end. So now I'm actually going to pass on to Georgia, who is going to be telling you all about the career and mindset side and everything that we cover on the program. So hi, Georgia.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Like Mili said, I'm Georgia. And for those of you who will be taking part in the program next year, I will be your career and mindset coach, or CNM coach for short, during that period of time. And just like Ellie said, the program, it's not just a technical program. We also have something that is quite unique called career and mindset coaching. And kind of during the program, you'll be working with both myself and Mili to help build your confidence and prepare you for interviews. And like Mili said, our sessions will be a really good mix of group and individual work. Personally, I love the use of breakout rooms and Slido quizzes. And I would really love the CNM sessions to be a chance for you all to experience kind of real self-reflection and growth, you know, kind of dedicated time we aren't often given now with how busy life can be. But we do realise that some of you might have had quite lengthy career breaks, or maybe even recently attended interviews, or might not have attended an interview for a very long time. So we know that you will kind of all start at different levels when it comes to feeling prepared and confident. And our aim is to meet you where you are at. Our support will always be very much tailored to who you are, what you want to achieve, and kind of where you want to go, you know, with this program at the end of it. So next slide, please, Mili. So what can you really expect? So in terms of sessions, the first part of the program will be focused on mindset. Both Mili and I, you know, really firmly believe that a positive mindset helps create a solid foundation on which you can build your career skills and other skills as well, which is something our tech coaches like Ellie believe in as well. So these sessions are very important. And we talk about things such as how to actually build long-lasting confidence, regardless of how confident you feel, that you don't have to, you know, fake it till you make it style, by doing things such as identifying your strengths, so you know how to leverage them and talk about them in any interview. And this is kind of coupled with growth mindset, where the aim is to become aware of where in life you might be holding yourself back with fixed ideas of either yourself or situations, and how to actively start making them more growth-oriented, beneficial thoughts and actions. And growth mindset is something we really kind of treasure here at Tech Returners. And this is paired quite nicely with kind of goal setting sessions that adds that kind of visualization and realization of those goals, as well as adding a little bit of helpful accountability to actually get the hard thing done. Because it's all well and good, you know, setting yourself goals to do something, but actually being able to do them can be quite difficult sometimes. We also discuss how to comfortably give and receive feedback. As an assignment, I ask you all to practice by giving me feedback. And this session is very helpful for those who might not have had the best impression when it comes to feedback in the past. But, you know, you'll always have a safe space with us. And here at Tech Returners, you know, myself and the other coaches, we really advocate for positive but helpful feedback, as it's, you know, oftentimes the only way we're going to learn and grow. We also talk about kind of positively reframing your break, as again, I know sometimes the industry can be quite hard on this, but here we honestly believe that all returners are incredible individuals who have stories worth hearing. And having worked with potentially over 100 to 200 returners now, I've never really come across the same journey twice. So I'm really looking forward to hearing and learning more about you all. We also know the transition back into a learning environment and then into full-time employment can't be an easy transition for everyone. So we include a session on building your resilience to help find tools and methods to build and enhance your emotional resilience against likely stress reactions such as perfectionism and imposter syndrome. But again, we are always here to support you too. So the second part of the program is going to be more focused on career development and interview preparation. So this is kind of where we really start to gear ourselves up. We talk about things like how to build rapport with your interviewers and enjoy the process, you know, such things as small talk, body language, tone of voice. We also talk about how to communicate your past experiences and technical expertise to an audience confidently and eloquently enough that all the important information is highlighted immediately. Returners, again, always have incredible experiences, so I really look forward to helping you all through this. And again, I know it can sometimes be difficult to talk about past experiences and expertise, but we will do this together. And we have an entire session also dedicated to answering a variety of different interview questions, included the dreaded "what salary are you looking for?" question, coupled with a very useful interview preparation workshop that will help you kind of confidently walk into any interview with your head held high, knowing exactly what you can offer to a company. And all of these sessions pair very nicely with the technical sessions, as you are refreshing previous skills, learning new ones, and really understanding how to best talk about them so you can really impress your interviewers. We also run a few seminars focused on talking about yourselves. And at the end, both myself and Mili will run mock interviews, providing as much support as possible with individualized feedback and recommendations so that you are as prepared as possible for the real thing. I would also just like to mention that if you are an international returner, please do not worry. We can provide additional support if you are worried about this being your first interview in the UK. I think you would certainly find this section of the program very useful. And I am a trained English teacher, so if you ever need any language support, please know you can come to me for that as well. Ellie mentioned technical assignments. We also have assignments at Career and Mindset, and these are primarily designed to help you put what we discuss in sessions into practice. And they're focused on understanding yourself, but helping positively build your mindset, as well as, you know, be that additional aid in interview preparation. And kind of just included some examples. You know, we ask you to do some tests around finding your strengths, and we have a variety of different workbooks and worksheets. We do try to keep them fun, interactive, and personal, as well as helpful to your own growth. And, you know, again, any questions, we are here to support you as much as we possibly can. So thank you all so much for listening. Again, any questions, please do just drop them in the chat.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Georgia, for giving a very good overview as well of everything we're passionate about and the topics we cover in the career and mindset side of the curriculum. So something that we're also really passionate about, our entire team is really huge on supporting you with the whole transition back into your workplace. And so Sometimes, like when you're on the program, you may need certain adjustments to make sure you're accommodating for things like maybe neurodiversity or having a difficult situation at home and so on. And so we have our fantastic well-being and pastoral officer, Dani, who is actually a mental health first aider and she's trained in safeguarding. And so really she offers a lot of personalized support because she knows very well that one size does not fit all. And so if you need any accommodations, she's able to provide guidance and support you with that. Dani is really, really passionate about making sure you're enjoying the program, that you're not sacrificing kind of your health. And so she can offer those well-being check-ins and support you with any sort of mental health issues if you may be facing them, and point you in the right direction of how you can access extra external support. And Dani is a fantastic addition to our team, and quite a few of our returners have really found it useful to speak with her and just adjust a little bit their experience throughout the program to make sure they're maximizing their time. So if all of that sounds good and you're like wondering how do you actually apply, how do you put yourself forward for the program, I will now pass on to Leslie, our fantastic talent acquisition specialist, who is going to tell you everything about the application process. Right, over to you.
Thank you, Mili. Hi, everyone. So as Mili said, I'm Leslie, the talent acquisition specialist, and I'm here to speak about the application process. So during the application process, you may hear from me or another member of our team. So let's go through the different steps and what you can expect. The first step is to apply, register yourself on our platform, and then book an introduction call. A member of our team will then call you. So that will be a telephone call to say hello, introduce ourselves, and get you feel more comfortable. We will ask you your current situation, past experience in the tech industry, and make sure that you meet all the criteria, as you will need to pass the UK security clearance for this program. And finally, we will talk about how the recruitment process is going to happen. Just a reminder, or maybe you are not aware about the security check clearance, you will need to, in order to pass that, you will need to be a UK national or a national of the Commonwealth country, a national of the Republic of Ireland, or a national of the EU, Switzerland, and with the settled status. You must have a permanent right to work in the UK, and you must have been living continuously in the UK for the last 6 months with no break. And also you will need to agree to check of any criminal conviction you may have on unspent conviction. So that will be, during that call, a great opportunity as well for you to ask any questions you may have about the program. It's absolutely fine if you feel nervous or or need a bit of reassurance. This is why we are here, so please ask us anything during that call. I want to let you know as well that we run several types of programs with different criteria, which means if you don't meet the criteria for one program, you may meet the criteria for another one. I also want to let you know that for all of our programs, you will always need to be living in the UK, have the right to work in the UK, and have a career break from the tech industry of a minimum of 6 months. After the call, if you meet the criteria and you are still keen to proceed, we will put you through the next stage, which is to prepare you for the technical task. You will have an online training, and once you've completed 60%, you will be invited to book a technical task. And the technical task will be coding questions that will need to be completed with JavaScript. I know that can be a bit scary when you hear about a technical task, but please don't worry, it's nothing too intense. The tech task is there to help us to understand your level of coding. If your results are in line with what we are looking for, we will then be invited to book an online interview. So the interview will be 45 minutes long and remote. It will be done on Zoom like we are now. And it's very nice and relaxed. You can grab something to drink, and it's just an opportunity for us to get to know you better. We will ask you a few questions about the career you've had, some situations that you may be dealt with while you were in your career, or how you handled them, and the skills that you have developed during your career and your break. You'll also have the opportunity to ask questions about the program, and that will be a great opportunity for us to start building that relationships together. Our interview process is designed to be super supportive. We spend a lot of time to share information before each step with via email. We'll give you PDFs, videos, and we are always just an email away if you need more extra support. And once you've been through all the stages, we'll then decide on whether you are going to offer you a place on the program. So once we've made that offer to you, you receive all the information you need to go further. Just a few things I'd like to add. First of all, please believe in yourself. It doesn't matter whether you have been out of the tech for a bit or quite a while. The length of your break and the reason for it does not determine your future and what is possible for you. Be confident and fill out the application form. A lot of you may have not done an interview in a while, and that's completely okay. We are all really nice and we want you to be in this program. So we are here to help you. Now, in terms of the closing date, we do close on Tuesday, 9th January at midnight. So please get those applications in before then. We really want to see them and speak to you all. If you have any questions, please drop them on the chat. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Leslie, for walking us through the application process. And I've seen a couple of questions come about people's specific situations, so I'll ask those at the end, and you'll probably be able to answer those in terms of whether someone is eligible or not. So now is a fantastic time to hear from the people that are actually responsible for making that program happen, and that is our hiring partners. So I would ask Emily, Jess, and Richard if you want to unmute yourselves and pop your cameras in. We have with us today Emily Carey, who is the client partner for Cabinet Office, and Emily is part of the ThoughtWorks team. We have Jessica Jones, who is a senior developer and tech lead on gov.uk, and Richard Towers, who is also lead developer at GDS. So my first question actually is for you, Emily. Can you tell us a little bit more about your involvement in this partnership and why it is important to you?
Sure, yeah, thanks, Mili. So we are really excited about this collaboration with GDS and Tech Returners for this program. I'm just going to talk a little bit about why we're doing it, why it's important, just to give the bit of a backdrop. So as part of our work with the Cabinet Office, it's really important for us to ensure that collectively we can create opportunities that make a real difference to people's lives and across communities. And one of these areas specifically is taking steps to address skills gaps and underrepresentation in the workforce, which is really at the heart of the collaboration that we've created. And we collectively have a shared commitment to making the industry more diverse and more equitable and more inclusive. So we have a very long-standing partnership with both GDS and tech returners, and we do have shared values. So it was a really perfect match between GDS, who are the driving force behind digital change in government, and tech returners, who have an amazing community dedicated to reigniting careers in tech, and ourselves at ThoughtWorks, who have thousands of passionate technologists who are really trying to guide the industry to build diverse, inclusive, accessible, sustainable practices. So together we form quite a powerhouse, and collectively we can try and push the boundaries of what's possible. So I think it's really important for us to make sure we continue to create opportunities in our local communities, and to continue supporting and building skills and capabilities, and trying to foster cultures where diversity can thrive, which drives innovation, of course. And then also it's really important for us to ensure that the technology that we design and develop and build is driving positive change. So, but to do all of that, we need as much help as possible. So I'm going to do a shameless plug and say, come and join us on this exciting journey and apply today. So back to Mili. Thank you.
Thank you so much for clarifying that and explaining kind of the nature of the partnership, because I do believe that together we can definitely create something that's really, really helpful for our clients. So my next question actually is for you, Richard. Can you tell us a bit about GDS and what your organization actually does?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mili. So GDS is the government digital service. It was set up in 2011 as part of the Cabinet Office, which is a central government department in the UK. The first project that GDS took on and kind of its reason for existence was the gov.uk. And that was a project that transformed the UK's dozens of separate government websites into one website with a consistent brand, which became gov.uk. And the idea of that was that members of the public shouldn't have to understand the structure of government to interact with it. It's been 12 years since GDS was set up, and it still runs gov.uk, but it's also expanded into a lot of other product areas, mostly to help the rest of government build great digital services. So gov.uk is not the only thing. All the departments run things, and we're kind of in the center of government trying to help them do the best job possible. Some examples of that. We have a product called gov.uk Notify that helps services send emails, text messages, and letters to the public. Gov.uk Pay helps services take payments. Gov.uk Forms helps services collect information from the public, and Gov.uk One Login helps services with authentication and identity proofing. So we use sort of Gov.uk as our kind of brand identity, but these are separate services that GDS builds. Jess and I both work on the Gov.uk program, so we're responsible for the Gov.uk website itself and the content management system that powers it. And we aim on Gov.uk to make it easy for people to find information about and interact with government. Our code is almost all Ruby. We use Ruby on Rails as our web framework. We real believers in making things open. Make things open, it makes them better is one of our sort of catchphrases. So almost all of our code is developed in the open on GitHub. It's all open source under the MIT license. You can find us on GitHub/alphagov. Although we're a Ruby shop, you will have noticed that this course is in JavaScript and TypeScript. We recruit people with backgrounds in various programming languages and help them transition to Ruby after they've joined. So you should get the foundational principles of back-end modern software development in this course, and they should set you in good stead for GDS interviews. And yeah, that's basically us. So back to you, Ellie.
Thank you so much, Richard, for clarifying that. I can say I've definitely used all of those services that you mentioned as a user myself, and it's been a lot easier to find information compared to how it was before. So I am personally grateful for your existence and for GDS being there. So Jess, actually, from your perspective, could you tell us a little bit more about what roles are available at GDS at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So as Richard mentioned, we both work on the GovUK programme, and it's on GovUK that we're expecting these positions to be filled. So GovUK is a content management system. So we have publishing applications and we have front-end applications, and we have small agile delivery teams spread across these different areas. So that's sort of the situation that the recruits will find themselves in. In terms of geography, these are Manchester hybrid roles. So we've got people spread all over. So within my team on GovUK, we've got people in Lancaster, people in London, people in Oxford, and we all go into different hubs. But these are out of the Manchester office. I mentioned agile teams, so maybe I'll talk about that a little bit more. So the delivery teams are multidisciplinary. So we'll have developers, user researchers, performance analysts, delivery manager, product manager, and we all work together to determine features that meet the needs of our users. And we work in about 2-week sprints, constantly shipping code, constantly testing with users. So it's nice to feel close to users and everything we do. So even though it's software development, it's very much thinking about users and everything we're designing. I think that's hopefully a good overview.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really great overview. And it sounds like you have a very collaborative environment in GDS. So I was actually wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about kind of your experience, Jess, working in GDS, and kind of what's the working culture like from your perspective?
Sure. So to set the context a little bit, I joined GDS about 6 years as a junior developer, following a career change. So I started a family and then decided to get into tech. And the reason I picked GDS is because there's a real commitment to flexible working and support for all different backgrounds. So things like, splitting your day around the school run, that I see that, your working hours are within the course. That's the same at GDS. So balancing, your parental commitments or caring commitments with your work is something that's really supportive and easy to do here. From a learning and development perspective, we have budget set aside for that, and there's definite support for anything you feel like you need to do to boost your own career, which I found fantastic. And the pathway to progress is really well defined. There's the skills that you can, you gain those skills and you move up. It's a really well defined, open, predictable way of managing your own career, which has really worked for me. It's very supportive. We've got networks for parents and carers, all sorts of engineering community sessions. So it's a very open, inclusive, supportive, flexible place to work that I hadn't really found was provided anywhere else. So that's really worked for me, raising my family and keeping sane.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Jess. And it does sound like a really welcoming culture and very accessibility focused to make sure that it works for everyone on the team. And in case anyone is wondering, Richard, what impact can they actually make through their work? What would you say is the impact that your team and everyone at the GDS makes?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the great things about working at GDS is just like the sheer scale of the services that we run. So gov.uk receives around 100 million requests a day as a website, about 110 million yesterday. So at that scale, even really small improvements that we make can have huge impacts. If you imagine something like maybe you make a bit of guidance clearer and it means that 1% fewer people have to phone a call center, just that one change could potentially save, hundreds of thousands of hours of people's time across the country and make massive changes to the amount of money that people have to spend on call centers and the amount of time that people have to waste on things. So it's such a sort of leveraged service. It runs at such a high scale that making kind of any improvement can be really, really impactful. And obviously you can make big improvements as well as small improvements, and the impact is even higher. I think also it's really important that GovUK and all the services that GDS provides work for everyone. So we take things like accessibility and web performance and the making sure that everything works on every device really, really seriously. And little improvements in those areas can really make a difference to people who often struggle to use digital services. They can be excluded by digital services, maybe because they've got a disability and the service hasn't been designed with screen readers in mind, or maybe they've got a low-end mobile phone and they can't download 5 megabytes of JavaScript to make the service work, or maybe they're in a rural area with a poor internet connection and they for similar reasons they struggle to use various bits of the internet. So for us, like, really nailing those basics that make the website fast and accessible, and some of it's simplicity, but getting that simplicity right is key, and that can really make a difference to people. And also generally, I think it's great to have the opportunity to work on improving things which can often be really frustrating. So I, like everyone, occasionally have to interact with government services, and sometimes that can be like pretty bad and pretty frustrating. And working at GDS means that I don't just have to, complain about it and, grouch about it. I can kind of be the change that I want to see in the world. If it bothers you that government services are not always brilliant and you're a technologist, then come work for us and fix them.
I love that. And what a great way to actually end up that, like, be the change you want to see and kind of be the developer that can develop those services that you actually wish to see. So thank you, all three of you, for your answers and bringing, I think, a lot of clarity and passion today in your answers and clarifying so much about the partnership and the program. So for anyone that is here, please drop any questions you may have for Emily, Jess, or Richard in the chat, and we'll prioritize those questions in literally just a moment. And finally, I just want to give you an opportunity to hear from someone who's been through our program. And so we have with us today the wonderful Huma, who has been a part of our previous Booking.com cohort about a year and a bit ago. So hi, Huma. Lovely to see you today. Like, if you want to turn your camera on, yeah, fantastic, so we can all see you. Can you tell us just a little bit more about yourself and your role right now?
Yes, sure. I'd like to start with a little bit of background about myself, Mili. So prior to the program, I worked for around 10 years in India, US, and Dubai in a fast-scaling startup company by the name of Zido, which was recently acquired by Warner Brothers Discovery. I then decided to take a career break. It was mainly to raise my 3 children. And during this time, I also helped my husband set up his startup company, management.com. The company won an award for the most innovative business idea in Dubai in 2022. And as part of that, we came to the UK on an innovator business visa route. Having come here with my kids all settled, I decided to get back to my career. And like they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And just like that, I came across the Tech Returners program. It was the perfect program to bridge the gap between where I'd left and where I aspired to go. And here I am today. I now work for Booking.com as a Java developer in the cars vertical. Thanks to Tech Returners.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Huma. And I just wonder, kind of from your perspective, what is maybe the most important thing you learned throughout the program?
Yeah, so I think Ellie and Georgia have also already said, very great things about the program. But from my personal experience, I want to add a few things. The first one was that, in the traditional interview process, you don't really get to know your employers. You don't get to know the company that you're going to work with. But with the Tech Returner program, you get a very deep insight into the company that you're going to be working for, which is like a big bonus and added benefit. So in my case, when we had these webinars and lightning talks with Booking.com, we met with different people at Booking.com from top to bottom. And they spoke about the company values, the company structure, the culture of the company, and the mission. And we got to know more and more about the company, which was really very important to me because in the previous company that I worked for in 10 years, it was the same company that I worked for. And it was a very good company, and that set the bar very high. And I always believe that I'm never going to find such a company again. But in the very first webinar, when Austin Shepard, the VP of Engineering and the CTO at Booking.com, when he was asked why Tech Returners and why the program, he said, why not? It's the right thing to do. And I remember thinking, that's the company I want to work for. So I think that's a very important aspect of this program. So that's the first thing that was very important for me. And the second thing in terms of learning that I got from this program was that apart from, the tech skills and everything, when I went through the program, I realized that during my career break, I had gathered certain soft skills and experiences which made me return to tech now as a better version of myself. So with me, I was managing my kids, I was helping my husband set up his startup company, and all this requires a lot of perseverance, grit, communication, patience, listening skills that I'd gathered over the years. So I think that realization helped me see myself in a totally different way. Prior to the program, I thought I was not good enough. I have a big career gap, and that I felt less confidence. I felt low in self-esteem. But now post the program, I really changed the way I looked at myself. And, as they say, when you change the way you see yourself, you change yourself. And once that self-transformation happened, I was able to sail through the interview process. So that was a very important aspect of the program for me.
Absolutely. And like there was such a huge shift in how you saw yourself throughout the program. I can absolutely attest to that. Final, very quick question, kind of, what would you say to someone who is on the verge of applying and is not 100% sure? What would you say to them?
I think that's the reason why I'm here today, Mili. You might have all heard about the saying that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But did you know that that journey, when taken with the right friend, the right team, or the right group of people, can help you not just walk or run, but soar through, that journey to success. And at Tech Returners, you have got the right team of people who will help you, support you, guide you, who will have your back, and it will help you, get to that success point. And once this is sorted out, I think there are only two things that can go wrong in your journey. One is that you don't start the journey at all, and the second is that you leave it halfway. I think today I'm here to help you, take that first step of deciding to take that journey. And the reason behind that is that I was inspired by someone to go on this journey. 1.5 years ago, when I came to this webinar, I thought that I had a 10-year gap. And I always believe that, you can get back to your tech career after 1-year gap, 2-year gap, but 10 years impossible. And at that time, the tech returner who was there was Kali from booking.com. And she opened the session saying that, hi, I'm Kali, and I returned to my tech career after a 10-year gap. So I kind of had no excuse, she was my inspiration. And I thought if she can do it, so can I. And so today I would like to just, end with telling everyone this, that if you really want to get back to your tech career, then this is the best program that is there, and it will really guide you and help you. And, just go for it. Don't think twice about it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that, Huma. I think that I feel very inspired, and I hope everyone who is here with us today feels the same way. So thank you so, so much for coming and sharing your experience and your advice. Now, I would like to extend the opportunity for us to answer a couple of questions. So Emily, Jess, Richard, like the first couple of questions are actually for you around the office space and kind of the program. So is this program only limited to people in the Manchester office? Is it possible to be living in London, Bristol, or other? If any of you wants to answer that.
At the moment, we're only recruiting in Manchester. So that at the point when GDS recruits at the end of this program, it's likely that at least all of the available gov.uk program roles will be in Manchester. GDS is recruiting more widely in other places. So there are other roles that aren't strictly associated with this program that you could apply for in potentially London, but unlikely, but Bristol more likely, which will have different languages as well. Other bits of GDS use different programming languages, TypeScript, Java, things that may or may not be more familiar to people. So there's a piece in this program where you'll be guaranteed an interview with GDS, but those guaranteed interviews will be for Manchester roles, but there may be some other interviews in other places that you could potentially go for. I'm afraid I don't know the answer to a similar question of whether you're still eligible for the program if you're not interested in one of those roles. Perhaps someone from Tech Returners could take that.
Yeah, like we can answer that in a second. I was wondering, like someone was asking as well, how much time is required on site, on the office, and kind of, can you do something kind of more compressed in terms of days?
Yeah. So at the moment, the expectation that has been recently set by the civil service centrally is that people should be in the office for 60% of their full-time equivalent work. So if you're working full-time 5 days a week, then you'd be expected to be in an office 3 days a week, which would be 60%. If you're part-time, it gets a little bit more complicated than that. But if you're only doing sort of 4 days a week, you'd probably be expected to be in 2 days a week. It is also possible for various kinds of flexible working, so compressed hours and part-time working are widely supported. Although I'm not quite sure how the 60% edict and compressed working, we're still working through some of the implications of this at the moment. But yeah, at the moment it's 60%. I don't expect it to go any higher than that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for clarifying that. I think those were the questions that were specifically about kind of the program and kind of the work opportunities at the end of it. So in terms of, is this program only open to candidates who are able to interview for those roles? Yes, for that specific one, that is the requirement that you are either living in Manchester or willing to commute to Manchester. Like you can live in London, and if you want to commute 3 days a week, that's perfectly fine. I don't think anyone is going to stop you from doing that, but you need to be able to commit to doing that, right? So if this is not right for you, we will be running quite a few other programs in 2024, so just stay tuned, kind of follow us on social media, and you'll see more about our upcoming programs very soon as well. So please don't worry if you cannot cover that requirement today. So Jess, Richard, Emily, like you're welcome to stay if you want, but like if you have anything else that you need to go through, yeah. Okay, so there is actually a question like, what happens at the end of the 12-month fixed term contract? Could you answer that?
That is a good question. I would expect in most cases that they'll be moved on to permanent contracts. There may need to be some kind of re-interviewing process that may or may not be a formality. So the reason that we've set 12-month fixed-term contracts for this is because by default, as part of the civil service, all of our recruitment has to be fair, obviously, which it will be in this case, but also open to anyone. And partnering with a specific organization and offering guaranteed interviews to specific individuals means that it's difficult for us to offer permanent roles. So I'm not going to say workaround, but I'm going to say something like a workaround. We've made the roles fixed term, which gives us a bit more flexibility in how we interview in the first place. There will need to be some kind of fix for that to give people permanent roles. And yeah. I'm probably limited as to how much I can say about.
Yeah,
it'll be fine, but I would imagine in most cases we would find a way to make people permanent employees before the end of that 12-month period.
Yeah, like I'm sure like this is something that can be absolutely figured out once someone starts working. And kind of like the other question was around the payment basis, like do you run your own payroll or is it more of an umbrella contract?
That is a good question. It's probably a bit more organizational than I'm used to answering. It would come from, I mean, I don't know how it's all organized, but you'd be on PAYE as a GDS employee. So the money would come directly from GDS.
Yeah.
Okay. Or Cabinet Office or something.
Yeah. Brilliant. And again, if anyone has any questions specifically, I'm sure at the interview stage, they will be able to get a little bit more information about that. So thank you for that. Now we're going to move on to the rest of the questions, which are around eligibility. And so Leslie, I think you'd be the best person to answer some of those questions. So if someone has had a 6-month break and is currently on a spouse-dependent visa and has the right to work in the UK, are they eligible for that program if they're from India?
To be eligible for this program, they need to have a permanent right to work in the UK. So unfortunately, if they've got a visa, they are not eligible for this program.
Okay, brilliant. And so I think the same here applies to the person that said they have a tier 2 dependent visa, right? So this is not the program, unfortunately. However, as I said, we are running other programs who may have completely different eligibility criteria. So please do stay in touch with us because there may be other opportunities for you to apply. Does the application deadline refer to completing the tech task and behavioral interview or just submitting the application form?
It's about submitting the application form. And I will recommend for those who passed the intro call and want further with their applications to complete the technical task as soon as possible, as we've got limited places for this program.
Yeah, absolutely. So like if you're on the verge of applying, definitely do that sooner rather than later. But yeah, we have left about 2 weeks after the 9th when the application closed to make sure that we have the time to give everyone to complete technical tasks or interviews if the places haven't been filled by that time. So Dimani's question around whether there'll be tech returners programs aimed for technical test specialists about testing in the future. So if you have a testing background, you're obviously like returning to tech and you're eligible to apply for our programs because testing is a really useful skill that is used in any like backend or front end role. However, the programs themselves are not designed, I believe, to cover all elements of testing. Ellie, like, is there anything you want to add to that? Like, we have not run a specific tester program, and I don't think there is a plan to do that.
No, not at the moment. I mean, we've run other programs and other variations of the program, but we've not got a testing focused one, unfortunately, at this stage. But who knows in the future? I don't make those decisions though, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. The question around security clearance, is this actually the SC level or is it like, what is it? Like, if
I can probably at least tell you the first part of that. So we only require BPSS, basic personnel security standard level clearance for gov.uk roles, which would be what this campaign is. So it's not security check level security clearance. Annoyingly, both of those have the same acronym. So it's BPSS level security clearance, which means that the requirements are quite a lot less strict than security check level. But I don't have to mind exactly what they are. But
yeah, thank you for sharing that, Richard. And like Leslie, like regarding the 6 months of continuous residence, like there were some questions in there around how much time outside of the UK is allowed, holidays, things like that. Could you clarify that just a little bit?
So that will be 6 months of living in the UK prior to the start of the program. And of course, you can go on holiday. So it's just, you need to be living in the UK 6 months prior to the program.
Yes, so basically having an address where you're registered, right? And be living in the UK during that time. But of course, you know, holidays and things like that probably is fine. So like if you're not sure, definitely again, submit your applications. And then when Leslie is doing an introduction call, she may be able to answer your specific questions and talk about your situation in there. Okay. When is the security clearance done? Is it at the point of applying for a GDS job? Yeah. Okay. See Richard nodding.
Yeah, that would be, again, like I'm feeling just not quite 100% certain, but close to 100% certain. That would be after successfully applying for a GDS job. So we wouldn't put you through security clearance until you'd been successfully offered a role. And then it's usually a formality. The vast majority of people get cleared without any problem. Very occasionally it's a problem, because if it wasn't occasionally a problem, it would not be worth doing at all. But in the vast majority of cases, it's just a process to go through.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for explaining that, because again, it is it can definitely be a little bit confusing, but I'm sure, again, like Leslie has all the information, so she will be able to answer those questions as well in introductory calls. In terms of getting a list of programs which don't meet the eligibility criteria, just make sure to be on our website. There is a form, I think, in there when you can subscribe, so we can add you to our pipeline and let you know when new programs are released. And also, again, follow us on social media. We haven't yet finalized in terms of dates and specific programs. We know probably the next few that are running, but again, that's going to come out probably in the next couple of weeks, probably January time. So please do kind of follow up with us. I think that is everything in terms of the questions. I've looked through the Q&A boxes and through the chat, so I'll give everyone a minute if there are any final questions, because we are already over time, so I just want to make sure that we don't stay here forever. Everyone wants a lunch break, I'm sure. But yeah, like if you have any final questions, please do drop them in the chat box so we can answer quickly. And if not, please do submit your applications if you believe you're eligible, if this program is something that you're interested in. I think the opportunity at the end sounds really, really fantastic, really powerful mission and a lot of impact that you can make with your work, a lot of learning that you can experience on the program as well, that I'm sure is going to help you to return to your career. And yeah, if you have any further questions, don't be afraid to also send us an email, and someone from our onboarding team will pick up that question and give you more information. So I'm seeing a lot of thank yous. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here, for listening, and really, really helpful to hear from everyone today. So we'll be sending you the recording as well if you want to refer to anything. And if not, I hope to see all of you on the 22nd of January when we start the program. All right. Have an amazing day, everyone. And I will see you hopefully soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much. Bye, 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 bye.